Good morning, Napa Valley Center for Spiritual Living. So good to see everybody this morning. I'm Reverend Jay Lang, and what a beautiful sunny day we have here. Happy New Year, happy sunny day. We appreciate all the moisture we have, and we celebrate the sunny days we have. So, just it's always good to greet the new year with optimism, with the idea of turning over a new leaf. Now, I know it's a different kind of New Year. I had a friend who said New Year's is like having pages in his book that's boring. You think the next page will be interesting, but it's not really. But it is. We need to be a little optimistic. I had another friend who said that he said, okay, so this year, if the heartbreaks and troubles from last year didn't make you strong, let me wish you one more year full of agony and tears. I really want you to be stronger. Going, no, wait a minute. I said, no, I'm strong. I don't need another year like this last year. I was up in my on my roof taking down my holiday lights yesterday, and I noticed the gutter had silt in it, so much that there were actually plants growing in it. So part of me, thought, well, should I clean it out and clean the gutter out, or should I just bring up more seeds to plant in there? No worry, I decided to clean it out because every year you need to wash out the old and bring in the new. Even if you're not sure what that means, you're ready for something new, something exciting, something opening, something to bring in the new that you are. I have a traditional, this is my Old Lang Syne. See, an Old Lang Syne, get it? Oh, I know. See, some things don't change. My humor is still bad, right? As Michelle, my wife, said, there's only one day of the year you can put this up there, So this is it. It's all I get. Probably this year, next year, count on it, come, and you'll see the sign up again. I think we're actually on January 1st next year, so. But this is an exciting time because we do have a new theme this year of everyday wonder, living everyday wonder. And I think this is going to be a really powerful theme for us this year because we can find the wonder and the joy in all things, even when it seems like the same old thing, the same kind of mundane, the same ordinary that's there, and yet there's wonder in everything. As we have begun to pack away our holiday decorations, we might feel a sense of sadness that the holidays are over. And yet, when we're willing to stay in the curious, stay in the openness of the moment, we can find a greater joy and wonder, not in the things outside of ourselves, not in the decorations of life, but in our inner awareness, our inner awakening that we find. When I feel sadness or concerns or worries, I go to curious. I go to wonder. The wonder and the joy, yes, but wondering. And I ask the universe questions. Like, how can I bring this joy and wonder into my everyday life, into the ordinary? How can I make extraordinary? How can I live extraordinary beyond the ordinary? Or how can I heal this? Or what would love look like in this situation? How can I turn this into love? So just open to the universe. And what I've heard from all people, their experience and my experience, is that sometimes an answer to this question comes in some sort of inner sense within us of peace or joy or serenity. And sometimes it comes in that writings or teachings of a spiritual teacher we might hear. And you might even have the question out of your mind, but you go, oh yeah, I get it now. And sometimes it comes into some sort of experience that seems random, but it's synchronistic and an answer to this question. Because there's angels all around us, And I mean angels in the form of life itself that is unfolding and answering these questions we have to the universe. And we have to be willing to be in the question. We have to be willing to be open. We have to be willing to wander into the wander. This week, a number of people have impressed me, but nobody more so than Amanda Gorman. You probably remember her from the inauguration. She has a new poem out for a new day. And so I wanted to play you a piece of that this morning.
This hope is our door, our portal. Even if we never get back to normal, someday we can venture beyond it, to leave the known and take the first steps. So let us not return to what was. May this be the day we come together. Mourning we come to mend, withered we come to weather, torn we come to tend, battered we come to better. Tethered by this year of yearning, we are learning that though we weren't ready for this, we have been readied by it. We steadily vow that no matter how we are weighed down, we must always pave a way forward.
That we steadily vow that no matter how we are weighed down, we must always pay a way forward. Now, you have to understand who Amanda Gorman is, first of all, in context of the last few years. That yes, it's about health challenges, but she's also a young black woman. And even in her young life have faced racism, and her parents have faced racism and oppression, discrimination. And let's not forget the awakening that we've had around the death of George Floyd and so many other young black men and black women and minorities and violence that has happened. Let us take this example to continue to be aware. Now, I know this is not easy times for most people. That I read an article this week about languishing. Now, I didn't know exactly what the article meant, so I read it, and it was talking about that many of us are languishing, which I would call melancholy. So you're not really depressed, but you're not enthusiastic about life either. You're not motivated. You're kind of not functioning fully in your life. And you're aware of it, but you're not sure what to do about it. You might have challenges focusing on things in your life. And just know that, first of all, to give yourself permission to be right where you are. Don't, because the more you should on yourself about how you should be or how you used to be or what you think ought to be, then it's not going to help the situation. You're just going to fall more into that. But I would encourage you to go to the curious, to wander, to be in the question and allow the universe to answer the question for you in this way. To live everyday wonder. You know, when we talk about everyday wonder, it just doesn't happen. We need to be intentional about this. And it doesn't just happen in meditation either. We need to live this life that we have. We need to open up to it. And what we know is when we're open and willing, that life flows easier. Choices are clearer. And little miracles happen every day for us. Our daily experiences become opportunities for transformation, for individual and collective evolution. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, I love all his works, but there are certain phrases that really open us up to, we believe in a heaven that is within us, and we can experience the degree that we become conscious of it. this heaven that we can experience within it, and to the degree that we become conscious of it. So let us set as our intention this year to be more awakened, more aware to the little things and the big things that are around us in every way. A man named Sheriff Abdullah, he lives up in Portland, wrote a great book called Creating a World That Works for Everyone. And there he says, a world that works for all is one where mundane actions serve our deepest and individual collective needs. In such a world, the possibility of the beautiful and the sublime exist because we have taken care of the ordinary. Because we have taken care of the ordinary, so that it is possible to create a world that works for everyone. As we move through this wheel this year of different themes that we have, this living everyday wonder. This month is intentional living, but we go through the year in different focuses. And in this, we get to see the balance of the wheel. Now, if you think about our lives being a wheel, if there's an area of our lives that is not as fulfilled or that we want to ignore, then the wheel is not going to be smooth as you move around in life. That there's a balance in life. And notice that which seems neglected, that which seems incomplete. It could be relationships or a family situation, or it could be our health, or it could be a number of things, but it creates that bump. It doesn't flow easily in that way. So as we move through this theme that we talk about, living everyday wonder, what I'd like to walk through is just what I mean by that this year. Living, to start with, we talk about living. Eckhart Tolle said it is uncommon for people to spend their whole life. It is not uncommon, I should reread this. It is not uncommon for people to spend their whole life waiting to start living. Right? Or is there something holding you back? You know, yes, you're conscious, aware, but something is still holding you back right now. And so we're hopeful through this process of the wheel is to go through body, mind, and spirit being this subtle energy that's brought forth, this living life in a greater way, but that we open up to all areas of our lives, so that we're round and it flows and things go smoother and easier in our lives. In January, I spend a lot of time usually talking about Ernest Holmes. We kind of talk about our Back to Basics month because the founding, not only Ernest Holmes, but the ancient wisdom that founded this faith that we have that's a little over 100 years old is powerful. To go back to this and remembering is basically. So Ernest Holmes, when he talked about living, he wrote a book called This Thing Called Life. And what he said is there's a universal, getting ahead of myself. Don't look that way. There's a universal wholeness seeking expression through everything. We are calling it simply life. The religious people call it God. Philosophers call it reality. Life is an infinite energy coupled with creative imagination. It is the invisible essence and substance of every visible form. Its nature in goodness, truth, wisdom, beauty, as well as energy and imagination. So it's all that is that we can experience. People call it different things, and it is life that is abundant at all times. One of his favorite affirmations says that there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. To claim this God, this only one life there is, and all life is God, and that this life is perfect in the way it is expressing itself, and that life is your life right now. That life is our life right now. So we seek to awaken, to continue to awaken, continue to unfold. And the slide that I bumped up accidentally is this movie, Don't Look Up. How many people have seen this movie? It's really good. I really recommend it because it's one of these movies that takes a look at society as a whole, that kind of makes fun of us. And if we can't laugh at ourselves, then we're taking ourselves way too seriously. But the movie basically, I don't think, to say a few things about the premise of it is not going to take away from you watching the movie. It's about two scientists who discover that there's an asteroid coming towards the planet Earth, and it's going to end all life as we know it. And we have 6 months before it lands, and we should do something about it right away. But people don't really listen. They are distracted by celebrities, by social media, by their own press, by their own details of their life, their own mundaneness, their own ordinariness, and they don't wake up to what is really going on. And that's the premise of the name of the movie. Don't look up, like don't be aware. If you don't know that it's happening, you can enjoy life. And they don't start doing something about it till they can actually see it. But so much as for us to be aware is in the unseen world, and we can find it when we're open and willing and connecting to that which is greater than us, willing to ask questions, willing to open to the universe, to find the wonder and the joy in all of life. On January 6th, I think it's an important date to think about. Your politics may be, if I did a poll even in this room, I think our politics would be different. So I'm not espousing a certain kind of politics, but I think it's important to pay attention to January 6th, because I think it's an important date for us to consider, to be awake, to be aware. The nation's capital will be doing a prayer vigil, and here locally, Indivisible Napa is doing, at 5 o'clock on January 6th, is doing a little, they call it a vigil for democracy. And there'll be speakers there. And I plan to attend. I'm not sure I'm going to agree with everything that's said, but I do want to be awake and aware and consider the possibilities, because I do want to stand up for voting rights. I do want to stand up for democracy, that everybody has access to the democratic process in this country. And I do want to stand up for that. How that's done, I may differ on other people there, but I think it's important for us to look up, not to not look up, to be not aware, to pretend it didn't happen. And I've been asked to lead a prayer at the beginning, which I thought was a good sign also, because I think to have it as a prayer, to starting in prayer, and to be in prayer is a good thing. It sets the right tone for the kind of political and social participation I want to be a part of. Now, many of you had that you have something, and later we're going to do something with a purple piece of paper, and that's going to be for your prayers for the new year, to let you know. So we're going to get a chance to do that as well. So the second part of this phrase, everyday wonder. Everyday wonder. It's the joy that's in life. It's the simple things. And I believe in a life of simplicity. There was a time in my life when I was single, and I believed in minimalist as far as holiday decorations, because the less you put out, the less you had to put up later. But what's the fun of that, especially being married to Michelle? So we have lots of decorations and lots of fun, and it's fun to put them back up too. But I think that's the celebration of life we need to be a part of. Like there's a woman, Mary O'Malley, who wrote a book, What's in the Way is the Way, which I think is a great title. But she said something very extraordinary is happening here. There are no ordinary moments in your life. There are no ordinary moments in your life. So when we open up to the question, we open up to life and how grand and beautiful and wonderful it is, we experience that. I think cynicism and apathy, we tend to play down things perhaps, or we don't want to be attached to certain things. I mean, that's a spiritual philosophy, right? You let go of your attachments so you're not disappointed, you don't suffer. And yet, We want to not be so unattached that we're not engaged in life, that we're not participating in life. Another person who was an answer to my questions about wonder and joy this week is rereading some of the works of Desmond Tutu. He passed last week, and I'm sad about that. Yet his legacy that he's left here, it's just absolutely brilliant. There's a great book called The Book of Joy, which is he and the Dalai Lama. They had a meeting together, and there was a third person there who was their third writer in this book, and he just recorded and transcribed some things. And it was just beautiful, this conversation about two people who really are just in the joy of life, that let go of shoulds and woulds and could'ves, and are just in the moment of joy. I mean, just look at this picture. So Desmond Tutu said that we are fragile creatures, and it is from this weakness, not despite it, that we discover the possibility of pure joy. And what I was also used the word wonder in there. That it is in our fragility and our willingness to be human and being who we are, to let go of any preconceived notions about where we should be, that we find joy, that we find peace. And when we're open, we can find this way. I also like the words of Brene Brown this week. Joy comes to us in the ordinary moments. We risk missing out on joy when we get too busy chasing down the extraordinary. Right? When we think, it's out there, we'll be happy. When the happiness is right here. The joy is in the ordinary. And in the ordinary, when we're willing to be here, we find the extraordinary. We don't have to chase it down because it's right here. I also like another quote by Desmond Tutu. He says, discovering more joy does not, I'm sorry to say, save us from the inevitability of hardships and heartbreaks. In fact, we may cry more easily, but we will laugh more easily too. Perhaps we are just more alive. As we discover more joy, we can face suffering in a way that ennobles rather than embitters. We have hardship without becoming hard. We have heartbreak without being broken. That's the beauty of this joy of just allowing ourselves to be, allowing ourselves to be connected to life. I have a friend who, when he experiences a cold or something, when he has a cold, he won't say, I am sick. He didn't want to say that because that affirms about his identity. That's not who he is. He says, I am hosting a microbial, I have something, but I can't remember exactly what he says, a microbial experience or something like that. But he's not claiming it as himself. And so any kind of frustration we may have, let's don't claim it as ourselves, as an experience we are having. We may be experiencing rejection, loneliness, lack, poverty, or just a lack of money in our lives, fear, anxiety, depression, or what I talked about, that melancholy. But that's not who we are. We are just experiencing that. We are hosting that for a moment, and we can let it go. It's not who we are. And that brings us to this idea of this year, 2022. And it brings us to the hopes we have. Amanda Gorman, her poem goes on to say, this hope is our door, our portal, even if we never get back to normal. So let us not return to what was normal, but reach towards what is next. So I'd like you to pull out those purple sheets of paper now. And if you've ever been part of a burning bowl ritual, this one's going to be a little different today, and let me explain that. If you don't have a purple piece of paper, a marker, please raise your hand. We have extras. Do we need one up here? We need one more up here. Purple. If you could say that, we'll give you as many purple paper as you want. Please pass the purple paper. How about that? So, in a minute, I'm going to ask you to write on this, not something you want to release like a lot of burning bowl rituals are, but instead something you are affirming that you want, that you are asking the universe for. It is your prayer, it is your intention. Now, this, you will see, you will pass in, so you won't get to keep this. So if you want to take any notes of something you want to keep, you can put it on your piece of paper somewhere on that. But this is a lot of traditions, including indigenous, talk about our prayers going up into the spiritual realm. So this is flash paper, so you will put your prayer on this and then pass them in, and then I'll take them and just knowing my prayer here for a moment. And then I'll take them like this. And the prayers go up to the universe. Oh. So take a moment to write your prayers on the purple paper. Take a moment to what's important to you and what you want to bring into this new year. Just another minute. Pictures are fine, drawing on it. Doesn't have to be words. The universe knows what you're saying, what you're speaking. And when you're ready, pass your paper to the center aisle. And then the ushers will come by and pick them up. And then we would ask at the end of the service, as you're leaving, to leave the markers in the basket. If you want to keep your cardboard, you're welcome to do that. The purple paper. Just the purple. All the purple. All the purple goes in there. All the purple. Just that. It's called wish paper, and you can get it online. Yeah, you can get individual packs or bigger packs that have multiple wish paper. And there's flash paper, but this stuff is, it's nice how it flies up. Thank you so much. No, you can keep that one. So I just want to take this moment to be in prayer, knowing the universe hears all of this and knows all of this and is acting on it already, because that which we send into the universe does not return a void. It comes in truth that's revealed in us in our moments of quiet contemplation. It comes in teachers that we have, that we hear, that we read. And it comes in those synchronicities we have in our lives. And I know all of that is coming forth for you today and the days to come in 2022. So I'd like to offer you, as I do these, see if you can do two things at once here. See if I can do two things at once. Some more of the poem by Amanda Gorman. So just to hear those words as I release these prayers into the ethers.
This hope is our door, our portal. Even if we never get back to normal, someday we can venture beyond it, to leave the known and take the first steps. So let us not return to what was normal, but reach toward what is next. What was cursed, we will cure. What was plagued, we will prove pure. Where we tend to argue, we will try to agree. Those fortunes we forswore, now the future we foresee. Where we weren't aware, we're now awake. Those moments we missed are now these moments we make, the moments we meet. And our hearts, once all together beaten, now all together beat. Over, join this day just begun. For wherever we come together, we will forever overcome.
I got a little concerned with the flying fire and our cranes in the back, so. Like it's snowing in here. And so it is. So to go back to the words of Amanda Gorman, you might have been distracted during the poem. So, what was cursed, we will cure. What was plagued, we will prove pure. Where we tend to argue, we will try to agree. Our hearts once together beaten, now all together beat as one. Come over, join this day just begun, for wherever we come together, we will forever overcome.